So the another new addition to the Selenium 4 API is, are the relative locators. So if you go to this download tab and here look at the change log. So in the latest release, they have added this relative locators functionality where we can find an element uniquely with all different ways, as in using with tag name method and telling that the element is above a particular element or below a particular element or to right of or to left of or near to a particular element. So there are a lot of things being added around this relative locator, which we're going to talk about in this lecture. So before that, we're going to see like what sort of help that relative locator will gonna do when we struggle in finding element uniquely on a web page. As in, if I talk about one of the element on my website, if you go to qa.way2automation.com, so this is a dummy registration form where one of the tests is to fill up these details and click on the submit button. So what I'll do when I try to enter some values in this email field, let's say I'll inspect this and I got this name email. So what I'm gonna do, I'll create a new class and say test relative locators. So I'm gonna take the initial code from this class, paste it here, and change the website URL first. So now this section is not a separate window or a frame. I should be able to type directly over here by getting the name of this particular element, that is email, and I'll say driver dot find element by dot name is dot send keys, and I'll enter my email ID. And let's say after entering the email ID, I want to click on this submit button. So I'll inspect this element and I can take the XPath of this element as well. So I'm going to say driver dot find element by dot XPath this dot click. And if I run this, so it should navigate to the website and let's see whether it should type and click on that element or not. So it did type the email, but it didn't click on the submit button. So let's see the reason why it didn't click. We got an exception, and the exception says element not interactable exception. So why this exception is there? I mean, why the element, our Selenium script is not able to interact with this element, right? If we look at the other properties of this element, the other attributes, we have got a class as button, right? We can form up a XPath if we don't want to use the XPath that we got it by the console. We can even create our own XPath and try using it. So if we try doing that in the console window, if I write $x for XPath, and within this I'm gonna say $input at type equal to submit. So you can see I'm getting two matching nodes. So I can try concatenating any other attribute. Class equal to button, again two matching nodes, at value equal to submit with capital S. So again I'm getting two matching nodes. It means there is another element having all same attributes and the tag. So the XPath that we got over here, let me check whether this XPath is unique or not. So if I go over here, so see again I'm getting two matching nodes. Now one of the way is either I should make it unique by concatenating the parent or child attributes or siblings and then make it unique, or I can store it like this, and I'm gonna use indexes to make it unique. So 1 or 2 for the second element, right? So there are two elements. So out of that I can choose the first or second accordingly, right? Or maybe I can say that my submit button is the right hand side of this uh, sign in link, right? So this submit button has got a tag that is input tag, and which is next to the sign in link. So this is where the relative locators will going to help us, right? So the new relative locators, how we're going to use it in order to click on this submit button. Instead of writing this, what I'm going to write, I'll say driver dot find element, and here I'm going to give a relative locator dot with tag name. So relative locators will always gonna start with the tag name. So I want to find the element with the tag name that is input. So I'm gonna give the tag of that element and say dot, and these are a couple of the methods that you're gonna find with the relative locators, that you can find the element above, below, and you can see these are overloaded methods. You can directly use by, or you can give the entire web element inside it. So below, near, to left of, to right of, right, to like n number of locators, relative locators are there. So what I can do, I can try using one of the method over here, which should be right of this sign in link. So I can say to write off, and I'll say by dot link text, and I'll give the exact link sign in over here, and then I'll say dot click. So let's save this and let's run it and see if it works. So it entered, and see, it clicked the submit button, right? So this is how, using the relative locator, I am able to click on this submit button easily. So what I use is to write off. I can even use below this particular element, right? So in order to do that, if I comment this out, I'll just copy this and say with tag name input, and this should be below this password element. So I'm gonna inspect the, let's say I'm gonna take the XPath of this password element. First, let's see the XPath is unique or not. Yeah, it's unique XPath. So I'm gonna copy this, and I'll say dot below by dot XPath, and give this XPath over here. So again, if I run this, this should gonna click on the submit button. Right? Again, it clicked on the submit button, right? So there are a couple of methods that you can use, and also like I have seen like in like Simon Stewart's blog itself, who is the creator of WebDriver, that he recommends that don't use it directly. Do a static import, basically. Static import, as in you can add this import as in a form of a static, so that dot with tag name, so that instead of writing relative locator class again and again, you can simply call its method directly, so with tag name, right? And if you want to explore this API, you can simply press control, take a mouse over here, click on this, and you should be able to see the coding part, the implementation of this relative locator class. So this is a relative locator class, and it has got a static method that is with tag name, which we were calling it like a relative locator dot with tag name, right? And in this tag name, this is like we are giving the tag name over here, like the input tag. Again, this method is returning us the object of relative by class. So if you go down over here, you're gonna see this relative by class, and in this relative by class, you're gonna find all those methods that you can call, like with tag name dot above a particular element, dot below a particular element. See, below web element or below by, these are overloaded methods, right? To left of, to right of, right? So you can try exploring this API. This is what the relative locators that is actually mentioned over here in the Selenium 4.0 alpha 3 release, right? So this will make our life very easy when we are actually locating complex elements where we have to form up like dynamic XPath or dynamic CSS by concatenating child, concatenating at like siblings, right? At times the XPath looks quite huge or quite complex. So instead of doing that, we can ask our element like clicking on the element to be next of this particular element, or to the right of this particular element, or to the above of this element, right? So same thing will going to work for like multiple elements as well. If in case like you inspect this main element and you want to find how many elements are inside it, how many input tags are inside it, so same concept you're going to use with find elements as well, right? So this is what the functionality of the relative locator in Selenium 4. Thank you. Hi all, this is Rahul from Way to Automation, and the good news is that Selenium 4 is going to hit the market very soon. So the current Selenium 4 version is at the alpha 3 stage, and many new implementation has been done, which every automation test engineer must know who is working on Selenium in their project. So here are a couple of features which I have listed down, which are introduced in the new Selenium version, that is Selenium 4. So now the architecture of Selenium 4 is no more going to support the JSON wire protocol. So if you're already working on Selenium 3 or Selenium 2 with WebDriver, you must be knowing that all the communication with the browser was done using the JSON wire protocol. So if you want to see what JSON wire protocol is, you can simply type JSON wire protocol, and you're gonna see the JSON wire protocol of Selenium from here, and which is nothing, which generally exposes the REST API. All the communication is done using the CRUD operations, that is the post, the get, delete, right? So all these were actually the mode of communication with the browser. In case you want to capture a screenshot, you need to send a command using this session. Then and navigation of the URL will be again a get request or a post request to navigate to a URL. Then for every operation that we actually perform on a web page was tied up with this JSON wire protocol, which is no more be there in your Selenium 4. So Selenium 4 will now be using the W3C protocol completely for browser driven communications. So the earlier version of Selenium used JSON wire protocol, which actually required encoding and decoding of the APIs, whereas Selenium 4 will now be using a standard W3C protocol to communicate between the driver and the browsers. So the advantage is that W3C protocol does not require encoding or decoding of the API, and the test will be directly communicating with the browser, because all major browser vendors are on W3C itself. And the second feature is that now there will be Chromium based support for both Chrome and Edge browsers. So now the Edge browser and the Chrome browser class will directly going to extend the Chromium, and also the native support for Opera and Phantom JS will be removed going forward. And the users who need to test Opera can rely on Chrome, since Opera is based on Chromium itself. Right. So the another new feature that is introduced for opening a new tab or a new window. Right. So we can now actually do a tab browsing as well. We can perform actions on a new tab. So while we are on a let's say a base window, we can call a method and we can open a new tab and navigate to a particular URL on that tab and perform action on that tab. Right, so we'll be looking at this practically. I'll be creating a separate video where we'll be handling new tabs and new pop-ups using Selenium 4. So we're going to look at the detailed example on this. And many deprecated methods are removed from the API. Proper documentation has been done based on W3C standards. And the next thing, it is very important, the addition of relative locators. So there are new friendly locators. Initially it was named as friendly locators. Now they have renamed it to relative locators. So there are new locator strategies being introduced, where you can find the element with a particular tag name, which could be above a particular element, below a particular element, to left of a particular element, to right of a particular element, or to near a particular element, right? So this is very important. At times we may have seen some exceptions like element interrupted exception, or element is not clickable at this point, right? Where we used to create some dynamic XPath, some complex XPath by combining siblings, parent and child hierarchy, right? So this relative locator will gonna help us a lot at that point of time, where we can straightforwardly tell that this element is right of this particular element. So click on that element or type in that element which is left of that particular element. So this is what the relative locators are. We are actually going to see a practical example on this in our next lecture. I'm gonna record a video where I'll be practically showing how we can work with the relative locators using latest Selenium 4. Right. So then take screenshot. This interface has been enhanced to now capture an element screenshot as well. Although this functionality is available in our current Selenium 3.141.59, which is the official version as of today. But this feature is actually supposed to be launched in Selenium 4, but it is already stable and working fine. So they have also, you're gonna see the code is also showing up in Selenium 3 latest version as well, right? So basically, if we want to capture an element screenshot, while capturing full page screenshot, we simply call this interface, typecast it with driver reference, and then call the method get screenshot as with output type as file. So this actually generates a full page screenshot. And now the only change that you need to do is to capture an element screenshot. Instead of this driver, you need to pass on the element over here. So just pass on the element and it will actually going to capture the element screenshot. Right, so this is what your take screenshot interface is enhanced with the functionality of capturing element screenshot as well. Right, then there is an API added to interact with your Chrome DevTools as well. So Chrome DevTools are the one that when you right click on your browser, inspect, and you see many options of console, network, and a number of other things on your Chrome browser. So you should be able to capture those functionalities as well. So we're gonna look at the practical example on the Chrome DevTool as well. Then the most important part that I liked a lot is the Selenium Grid 4, which is enhanced with such a functionality that all the configuration of grid is very, very simple now. So the new grid has been launched. If you navigate to the website, if I take you to the website over here, so this is where like Simon Stewart has actually added a documentation on Selenium Grid 4, and this is very, very easy. So grid can simply be launched with the help of a standalone mode, and when you run this standalone mode, both hub and nodes will be configured at the same time. Right, so there are a couple of ways how you can configure grid. We have a detailed lecture on it. One is a standalone mode, second one is the hub and the node, like we were doing it initially in Selenium 3 as well. So same is there in Selenium 4, but with some enhanced features. And the last one is fully distributed system, where you can set up a session map on a different machine, distributor on a different machine, then a router on a different machine, and a node on a different machine. So we can have a fully distributed system created as well. And the features are also enhanced to support Docker as well. So these are a couple of things that we will be looking at the practical implementation of grid in the next lecture, right? So these are a couple of things which are going to hit the market very soon with Selenium 4 launch. Although these things are already there, you can try out these things before the official version is actually launched. And you may face some issues, some bugs or challenges while working on Selenium 4 at this moment, because this is at the alpha stage. But 90% of the things are working fine. I have tried like automating most of the websites, handling most of the features with latest Selenium 4, and I've seen most of the things are working fine, right? So don't worry about it. If you encounter any issue, at least give it a try. Give it a try with all these features, because Selenium 4 is going to hit the market very soon, right? So that's all in this lecture. In the next lecture, we're gonna look at the practical implementation of all these features while automating a website. So we're gonna see how to work with the relative locators. We're gonna see how to open tabs and perform testing on a new tab. We're gonna see the detailed configuration of Selenium Grid for capturing screenshot and other features as well. Right? So just stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next lecture.